The technology.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by Landmark Self-Storage in Leominster. www.landmarkselfstorage.com.
Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor, and we're live today, but we have to kind of shift our operations today. Carl was kind enough to set us up here at the City Council chambers. What do? We got hit by lightning or something happened?
Power outage.
Power outage.
The studio.
So when power went out, everything has to be probably recalibrated or something, Carl. That sounds like, right? That's like a sophisticated word, right?
It could have been
Calibrated.
We have surge protection.
Surge protectors.
You know,
I suggest you check into the warranty.
yeah, we're going to.
Anyway, we have a special show today, and I think you'll enjoy it. We have lots to talk about, but we got some real stars here, local stars, who don't think they are. And we're going to get a chance to talk with them today. And unfortunately, that storm came in, and Ed was saying, the assistant coach was saying, from Mr. High School baseball team was saying, we were all watching that radar yesterday. Everybody, every second, I think I have, and every second it was showing like this little blurb, thunderstorm comes in, pushes itself out, and then later on out in, Northampton, North Adams and Albany, New York, you could see this other thing, but it was hours away. And then all of a sudden, it's like every storm merged, right, Ed? It's like
true.
all of a sudden on the radar, every single storm merged together. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's like they were waiting up in Gardner, and they said, all right, everybody, let's go in now. And they all came in. So Coach Ed Vowles is here, Evan McCarthy, a pitcher, and Tyler Smith is a catcher, and representing the entire team because they couldn't all be here today. And I have to say, Evan, there's pictures of you that I see, and you are 100% into what you're doing. Like the picture says it all. It doesn't even require any caption underneath. That true? Is that really what the picture is saying? Because it's like 100% this guy's focused on what's going on.
Yeah, there's definitely more than a handful of pictures of me, probably with my mouth wide open yelling after a big strikeout or at the end of the game. But I just love going
Very
back there.
animated.
Yeah.
But it seems that connection with Tyler is there's this whole nonverbal communication going on. Like you guys are tied to each other like by the second. Is that really? Do you guys feel it when it's all happening there?
Well, I mean, like, we've been playing together for so long. It's been years and years of us playing together. And just the fact that we get to come together our senior year and play together, it's fantastic. And we're on the same page all the time.
I was saying yesterday, I was just reading the lineup through the season. And when I first saw the lineup, I said, some of these guys have been playing with these same players since T-ball. Some played at Bernice, some played at 12th Street. Everybody played.
Right.
But later on, when they advanced and they played in Babe Ruth or whatever, they've been playing with each other for a long time. And now they're all grown adults out there, and it's all come together. Right? I mean, that's really what's happened.
Yeah.
Did you guys stop playing together right away in Little League? Or
Yeah, we
So you've been
did.
playing that long
Yep.
together. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been, actually got to coach them in travel ball since they were 13.
That's
so
what I'm
I've been
saying.
around them for 5 years as well.
Just incredible,
Yeah.
just amazing. But this team's special. It academically, these students do well. They're good friends. What do you need more? Closer. Academically, these players do well. But it just seems like everyone arrived, kind of like the Storm. Everybody arrived in their talent at the same time to put together this, like they went on a nationwide search, and they went out and recruited players for each position on the team and found the right sort of mixture, the right vibe. And that's what it feels like. I think when people watch the games, they're like, there's this vibe going on that's unexplainable, but I feel it.
They've really, I understand what you're saying, but a lot of it goes towards the work they've put in
Yeah.
as this unit. Like, these guys have been going at it for like a solid year.
Yeah.
Even when we couldn't play last year because of COVID, they worked out together, they hit together, they worked on their game. And that's why we are, that's where we're at, where we're at now at this point of the season, because of all the hard work they put in.
I thought the other day, I said, if Tommy Kimataris was still alive, he would be like, you wouldn't be able to tie the man down. He'd be out
probably
of
not.
control.
Yeah.
And Tommy came up. He was the first person I remember, and he's got batting cages going on for baseball, like in December, right, for the next season. I'm like, Tommy, I don't know if anybody's going to come to these batting cages. And he said, oh, yeah, no, we got, down south, they play baseball all year. We got to compete. And lo and behold, that's what you guys are doing, right? I mean, it's year long. It's training. It's mind training. It's focusing. It's over and over and over. And so you've really had an incredible team. I mean, that's a lot of wins.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you manage that? Like, that's a lot of pressure.
I mean, you just got to focus on the next practice, the next game ahead of you. Can't get too far ahead.
I mean, our motto, pre-game, opening day. Every game we say it.
It's the
It's
beginning.
opening day.
It's the one you're all pumped up.
Right.
It's
It's
the one
just
you've been
like our
waiting
first
for.
game of the season every time we step on the field.
But such pressure. And we were talking a little bit before we started about, Tom Brady. And he's the master of a few extra seconds, the master of focus, of seeing everything that's going on around him and behind him and beside him, and that ability to stealth-like focus. And that's what you're saying. Their team effort has been that ability to be able to do
Really
that.
has been.
Each pitch, each catch, right? No matter what's going on.
Yeah.
So, last night, what does that do for the psyche? Last night, you're all pumped up. I kept getting phone calls. When are the lights going to go on? And I'm like, lights? We didn't know the whole substation was down. And the lightning's coming down. And I'm like, oh, no. But, so it ended up getting postponed. And I know it went on a long time. They tried to delay it. And in fairness for the Northampton team, they came a long way to get here. And they had to leave early and get here. And so out of courtesy for them, I think you were trying to wait it out as long as you could so that, they could get the game through. But what's that do for the psyche now? You kick into tomorrow. You able to separate last night and focus on, kind of shift that?
Well, last night we were all sitting there not knowing if we were ever going to play again. With the MIA, they they had a deadline on when we could play. So
Right.
if it kept getting pushed back, we never know if we were going to play again. So, I mean, like, coming to practice today, now it's just like we're playing for each other. We never know when it's going to be our last time playing together.
Right.
So it just, I don't know, I think it helped us out. I think it's better for us.
We want to give a huge thanks to Say More Rays inside Dandini Liquors. They provided 30 sandwiches. This is a very good story to Leominster High School baseball team. And Northampton traveled 2 hours to Doyle Field, and they got stuck in a huge rain storm, and they had to get delays. And when you got the 30 sandwiches, you guys all realized these guys got to go back. Their hometown, you handed off the 30 sandwiches to them and said, don't worry about us. We'll go home, we'll put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich together, or we'll eat an apple or something. And so you guys made that gesture, and that's classy, huh?
I agree.
That's
I
classy.
agree. And that's how they've been all year. I mean,
Good sportsmanship.
we got some really good guys on this squad.
So what do you know about Northampton? I'm sure you've been studying up on them, I'm sure.
And it seems as though every time we look to get information on them, we find out more about ourselves.
Yeah.
I looked up a newspaper article in Northampton. It had more about these guys in it than it did their.
Oh, they're watching, huh?
Yeah.
They are. See, you never know, like they say, right? Like your mother and father, you never know who's watching, right?
That's true.
So they're doing all their background work on it. So Ryan, what would you want if they were reading the paper out in Northampton and they were writing an article about you? What would you want them to say about you?
I mean, I don't really know exactly, but definitely that obviously we're on a 17-game win streak, so that's definitely of a point of emphasis. But just the way we've been hitting the ball lately and this playoff run that we've been on, so anything about that.
But you're the pitcher, and they want to know, like, who's this guy that gets up there? He's like the old Mark, kind of like a Mark Fidrich kind of personality, and he gets up and he throws. What's the fastest you've ever recorded throwing a ball?
88, 89.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Ed, did you ever get behind a ball and catch a ball
Oh, yeah.
doing 89?
Yeah.
Isn't it horrifying?
I mean, and
It is
he's fantastic at it.
scary. What's it like to be on the other
Yeah,
side?
you should be asking Tyler
Yeah.
this question, exactly.
Well, I mean, like, I just catch him so much, I'm just used to it. It's at this point. I mean, like,
You saw it go from 30 to 50.
Right over the years.
And
Yeah.
now it's
And comes
80,
down.
90 miles an hour, and it can come soaring at you, and you got like a second to think.
yeah, I mean, like, catching him compared to, like, some of our other guys, it's like, oh, wow, he's throwing a lot harder. Like, Brendan Arsenault doesn't throw very hard. But he just goes out there and competes every single pitch. And, I mean, like, at being in an opposing squad, there's no breaks. There's no breaks when you face Evan.
No mercy. No mercy, Ryan, right? I mean, Evan. But what happens, though, is I think during the process, people watching the games, seeing what goes on, they get interested in who the players are. And I hear people all the time, whether it's whether it's Babe Ruth or, you watch somebody play and you think, how can they throw the ball that fast so many times over and over? Doesn't your arm hurt? That's what everybody wants to know.
No, it usually doesn't hurt. I mean, we have a good program that we do in the off season with Coach Ed. Where we throw weighted balls. We do, they call them J bands or like exercise bands, and then just the lifting programs that we're on. So you get built up over the
So
off season.
conditioning.
Prepared. Yeah.
Because I want young kids to hear that. I don't want them to think that they can just get up and maybe they got a good arm and, the coach is telling them at Little League, hey, you got a good arm, and then they can just leave it at that because your arm is really a tool. It's a gift.
Yeah, arm care is very important, and we treat it that way.
So what kind of things do you do? I mean, you do the stretching and building up and working out and all of that.
Yeah, it starts with getting the blood flowing before the game, stretching out your entire body. Then you move into arm care. You do your arm circles, things like that. And then every pitcher has their little quirks. I have like this little.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to
warm-up
ask
tube
you.
thing,
What's
yeah.
with your core? Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, I have this. My dad actually made it for me. This little arm tube thing where you spin it around and it kind of gets my shoulder warmed up. And we also throw different weighted balls, do different drills with those, whether it's throwing it in reverse or throwing it like with your body facing a certain way. But it's usually the same routine every start.
But it's also a psychological thing for you too, right? It's kind of unwinding, getting yourself relaxed, like a fidgety kind of thing that you can, get you ready.
It's
right?
a lot different from our day.
Yeah.
Like the balls he's talking about, the weighted balls and the exercise. I mean, this is all like scientifically proven things.
Yeah, well,
that-
everything is today.
Exactly.
And it's just the way it is, right?
Right.
From the day you played Little League or T-ball all the way up till now, things have changed, and the game hasn't. But the tools have, right? And there's more conditioning and more practice and more focus and all of that. So Evan McCarthy is with me. He's the pitcher, Leominster High School baseball. Tyler Smith is the catcher. Assistant coach is Ed Vowles. And they're on their way tomorrow, July 2nd. I think it's going to be your lucky day. And you can catch them LTV.
LTV unfortunately is not available tomorrow, but the Library Family Network will be.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
They've been
So
great.
people can watch it on that. That's right, yeah. That's an interesting concept, too, because there are a lot of leagues that, you know, people wouldn't be able to see them unless you had that exposure.
And I think that's how Northampton got a lot of their information about us. They were able to go on YouTube
They were
and things
paying
and
for...
pull up our games and things to that nature.
How do you feel about that? Just
that's fine.
good practice, right? Good preparation, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, there were a lot of players, and as I said, as I was looking through the lineup and saw all the names, I'm like, yeah, they used to play at 12th Street. And this kid played at Bernice. The other kid played at National over there by Northwest School. And they played travel teams, and then it just this like the perfect team comes together, and you're all friends, and everybody gets along, and that's an amazing thing. So what happens after this? You know, what happens after this season? Are you able to continue on with baseball when you know college comes? And tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we go right into Legion from here, and that's our summer ball. But then I'm going off to play college ball. He's going off to Assumption. So I mean, like it's not going to stop. The
Yeah.
grind isn't going to stop for us.
But you love the game.
Yeah.
Like passionate, like you live and breathe this game. That's good. I mean, that's what you got to be, right? It's got to be 100%, right, or nothing. So there's a lot of talent out there, and they don't make it because they're not passionate about it. They're not really excited about it, and that goes for a lot of lessons in life for people that I'm sure you've run across players that's too bad, you know, they don't really love the game because, you know, they have gifts and talent, and it's sad that we can't get it. So tomorrow from Auburn High School at noon, right?
Yep.
Noon, and going to get this game going against the semifinal game against Northampton, and no matter what happens, these are winners all the way around for a million different reasons, but I feel that you'll be okay. Just stay on the focus mission, right? And think every play through and every scenario, I guess, is what you do anyway, and we're all proud of you, and it's been good to see the enthusiasm, you know, behind the team, and so it's been really fun. And I watched last year. Did you get to any of the Braveheart games last year?
Yeah.
I mean, what talent! I mean, it's amazing. That was a good ball. Were you impressed with it?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to expect. You know, I've always heard and watched. I watch them. You know, I'm on Twitter with them, and I catch the scores. They're really good about like every second of the game. They're tweeting out. And so you can almost like feel like you're there and have little clips of it, and the Telegram does a decent job of it. But I hadn't been to their games, and so when they came here, I was able to get to some of the games, and I was really amazed by some of the talent that they had. I was really hoping they'd stay here, but I get it.
Yeah.
And but that talent comes from all over and again. But they didn't have that opportunity like you do to bring people that you played with all along through your entire 12 years of playing ball and more to create this team. I mean, that's kind of unusual to have that happen. Anything else? Did I miss anything else? Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. What's the one thing that you can remember personally about the season? One thing that will always, 50 years from now, I'll stop you in downtown Boston, and we're both catching the train, and I say, hey, so what do you remember? What's the one thing you think you remember?
Well, I mean, this past district final, I mean, score was 4-3. I was at the plate, and I homered, and I mean, that was the most electric thing that I've ever been a part of in my life.
Did you know it was gone?
Yeah.
Right away you felt it? Did you pause for a second, or did you take right?
A little bit.
You looked at it?
through the bat a little bit. But,
Through a second, because right away it has to register. You know what you're looking for, right? And you can feel like this thing's gone, but you ran it.
Yeah.
You ran it out. Yeah, that would be the thing I would remember. How about you, Evan?
Last game, walking off the mound after 6 2/3 innings, after reaching the pitch limit, to basically a standing ovation from the crowd. That was pretty awesome. To walk off the field, maybe for the last time, but that was pretty special.
Because they know you worked hard. See, there's a difference there, you know, right? People respect the fact that people hustle on and off the field, that they worked hard, right? There's a certain appreciation in sports, especially for us who love, you know, the game of baseball, but we were never any good at it. You know, we never got that chance. So we respect the hustle in, the hustle off, you know, teammanship, sportsmanship, and people that work hard. And people know that. And that's why they did. Like, this guy worked hard, right? Evan worked extremely hard, and you could see it with every picture that I've ever seen. Got like this, you know, like every bit of me, from my toes up to every piece of hair hanging out of the back of my head is 100%. And that's something to be said, right? The picture says it all. So I ask you, Ed, last, what would be one thing? You got one thing, and I'll stop you 50 years from now, and we'll be talking to you, like the one thing that would like stick out in your head.
For me, it's the team itself. They're just a different group. It's a team I've never been part of. Like the closeness, the bond, the hard work. We have a great example. We practice every day at 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
They come at 1:30. They come at 1:30 to practice for an hour and a half before we have real practice.
Before you have real practice.
And they're a special group. It's different than any other team I've been part of, and that's what I'll remember.
So can we safely say that every member of the team has put it all out there? Everything. There's nothing left at noon tomorrow when you walk into the game, that it's all out there.
I think that's fair to say.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
There's not a thing you missed. It's 100%. That's a good feeling,
Yeah.
right? It's a comfortable feeling. Well, good luck, and thanks for making us all proud. It's been an incredible season. I mean, you know, you never know, right? I mean, you expect the season, and then and then the season continues, and here you are, and you're playing a team that's not part of really our, you know,
Absolutely.
our area, right? I mean, so we know the Fitchburgs and the Wachusetts, and, you know, I mean, we know that network of players. We even know their coaches and,
Sure.
and St. John's and everybody else. But that's a sort of a different, you know, it's a whole different area, right? I mean,
Yeah.
geographically, so. Well, thank you for coming on. I know that this might have broken the cycle a little bit of focus, but, you know, as I said, you know, when they said to Tom Brady, they're like, hey, you know, coming back after 4 games, you know, what did you think? And he's like, yeah, well, I had so much energy, and I had to focus on the game. I like that, right? I like that. And he's like the master of I remember a long time ago, Ed, you probably remember, more and more people started going to yoga and doing meditation, and I always thought, what are they doing?
Right.
What are they doing? Now I get it.
Yeah.
Right? It's
True.
It's that ability to drown out everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure their families later say, did you hear this? Or did you see so-and-so? Or did you see this sign? And they're like, no, it was all drowned out. I was focused on
I
the
get
mission.
it all the time. They're like, see how many people are there? I'm like,
I didn't know anybody was there.
That's rare I look on that side of the fence.
Right. And that's the ability to focus.
Right.
And that's a life lesson, really, for everything.
It's true. They
you
do
know?
a great job with it. They really do.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know this is a special treat for us and everybody watching because, you know, you got things to do.
Thanks for having us.
So good luck. Get a good night's sleep. Do you have any trouble sleeping the night before? I'd be stressed out 100%. I wouldn't have the ability to sleep 1 ounce.
We're a pretty confident bunch, too.
Yeah.
So you sleep okay, you put your head down.
Yeah.
You worked hard, tired. Got to get some sleep because I need it tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. This is wonderful. My name's Dean Mazzarella, Mayor of the City of Leominster, and you're watching Inside Leominster. We want to thank MP Crowley, and they're one of our sponsors. Who else do we have for sponsors? Landmark Storage is our other sponsor. We want to thank them and thank Carl and Keith for a makeshift studio down here at the City Council chambers. They had some issues last night. Do you know we had an actual water pipe? We had an air-to-ground strike last night. And it went through the ground, which is a good thing because it hits the ground, and it hit one of our water pipes. It wasn't a big problem, but it actually struck
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
a pipe. Like, you would think 8 feet down, there's no more, you know, but lightning just keeps going. It's amazing.
So, yeah, we can take a break if you want to.
Oh, we got that technology to take a break so these guys can hop out of here. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Inside Leominster. So AIS today is the president, Bruce Platzman, and today they decided a couple weeks ago when they heard about the fact that it's National Pink Flamingo Day to participate. But like everything else AIS does, it just morphed into this like big event here. And so everybody dressed up. Go ahead and explain.
Yeah, everybody was encouraged to dress up and support the National Pink Flamingo Day. And we wanted the mayor and some other people from the chamber to come by and see what we're doing. But
They had
we made a lot of, we made it a
Everything.
fun event. People got dressed up. We actually subsidized people if they went out and bought something.
Yeah, that's right.
We got cupcakes. We've got flamingos in the front yard.
There's decals all over the windows.
We've got a trivia contest. We've got some people guessing how many gumballs are in there, and we're going to sponsor that with all kinds of rewards. So we're making it a fun day as well, and it's great.
Yeah, it's fun. They really, you got some of the film here, right?
I
mean,
got
they
all-
went
I got it all on
way
film.
above and beyond on this. Everybody got
I
excited.
even participated.
Yeah, no, that's, but you know,
My pink
Bruce
hat.
is starting his own fashion wear.
My pink shirt, my pink hat.
There he
so
is.
right there.
He's in,
Pop your mind.
he's in with the in crowd. Keith, I think we are.
We're back.
Oh, we're back. Inside Leominster, it's the name of the show. We have, I don't know, people are enjoying watching this. Thank you. You know, as you watch the games, Carl, and you hear about what's going on, you read about it, you have questions.
Yeah, yeah.
You have questions like, I think, you know, a guy like Evan, to be able to throw that ball like that to me is like the biggest deal in the world, because I think there's a certain gift that you get to, you know, watching players and how talented they are, and but it's not something you just get. You might get that, you know, that athletic ability, but they worked hard at it to bring it to the next level. They didn't just say, well, this is, you know, I get up in the morning, you know. Aaron Hernandez, they said he could go out and party all night and come to work the next day and be incredible. He didn't even have to practice. The guy was just good.
They would just stay out all night, you know.
Right.
Partying and stuff.
Yeah, just go play after. Some people can do that, but these players, it was about hard work. And they didn't accept it. They didn't say, well, I'm going to give it my 100% based on 50%. I'm going to give it all, every bit that I have. Well, it's a special team. Every once in a while you get, you know, those teams, but this team has been incredible, and people have had just, you cannot imagine. So in the middle of the power outage last night, the biggest question wasn't, when's the power going back on? It was, when's the power going back on so that we can, you know, is the game on? Is it off? And when's the power going to go on because there's no power? That was the phone calls and everything. It just shows you how much the community is behind them. So good stuff. All right. So good story about their donation. They took 30 sandwiches that donated by Dandini, and they took them and gave them to the visiting team. Northampton came all the way out here, right? So, you know, if they had to be out here for 6, they probably had to leave at, you know, get together at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, make a 2-hour ride out, anticipating some practice in it. So that was a day for them. They're going to have to get back on the bus. And remember, I don't know how long they waited last night, but it was a while. It was a while before they finally called it. Coach Palazzi, you know, interacting with him, and then they finally said, you know, it's lightning and the storm's not getting any better and the power's not coming back on, we're going to have to call. But that took a while, too. So now these you know, Northampton players are going to have to get back on the bus and head home, you know, get home at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and, you know, the players said, yeah, just, you know, take the sandwiches and we'll improvise. Right? That's good stuff, good sportsmanship. All right, what a week we've had, what a storm we had last night. I'll tell you, hey, as I said, I was watching the radar all day, And it looked like a little storm, and then, they said severe storms, but it didn't look like, and then it showed a little break, and then another storm, and then a break, and then it just looks like it all slowed down somewhere around Athol or somewhere, and then all of a sudden they all got together and they just came in, and what happened is from Sterling comes our main feed into Leominster, and believe it or not, ultimately it's that feed that feeds North Leominster, and so think about it as a main cord, a plug, and then you plug extension cords in, and they run all over the place, same thing. So it's that transmission line that came down, or a tree hit it, and normally, if it was fall, they would have taken that and separated. They can switch power, they can reroute it. But they couldn't do that because it's still hot. People get their air conditioners going. They're not outside anymore. They're inside. So they know what the power is. They know how to gauge that. And they said, if we add that line to these other lines, we're going to blow everybody out. So they couldn't. They weren't able to do that. So we waited. And of course, at 8 they said, it could be till 10. And then at 10 o'clock they said, look, we got to be honest with you. This is probably going to go all night and maybe into the afternoon of Thursday. And we thought, this won't be good. But so what we did was we kicked in the action right away. I called Emergency Management Director Jim LeBlanc, and I said, you better get out and open up the center. And we started to, gain our resources, lining up ice for the morning when people, woke up and the refrigerator still had stuff in it and didn't want to lose. Food is extremely expensive. People have medication they have to keep in the refrigeration. So we want to make sure we have that set up. Showers in case people need them. Whatever people needed. Generators during the night if they needed them. We delivered a couple of them for people that needed them for medical reasons. And, what we have to start thinking about, and we have for a long time, is how many more people have home health care. In the past, you didn't get that level. You wouldn't be home. You'd be in a nursing home or a rest home or a rehab center. And today, they get you ready and get you out as fast as possible because people seem to recover better when they're home. So you have a lot more of those situations where people are receiving medical attention at their home, and people living longer. So you've got to be ready for that, and we were. And so we put this whole overnight plan together, and traffic lights were out, and police officers turned on their alley lights and drove through the neighborhood so people would know that. And then I got a last Hail Mary text late into the night, into I don't know what time it was, and they said, things are going rather well, but but that's not for public consumption just yet because we don't know what might happen. But we're thinking 8 o'clock in the morning. And then another hour went by, and they said, you know what? We're doing pretty good. We think we can get, and by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, other than, I don't know why, but Tomatoes Pizza up in North Leominster was like the only, service that was out for whatever reason. I don't know why. So thank you to National Grid. They hung in there. Our emergency management folks, volunteers, all of those, everybody that helped out last night. And that was 4,000 people without electricity. Hot night. It was still hot and humid. And people count on their air conditioning for health reasons. We had generator calls, and within minutes we had those generators delivered, and ice machines were going. So luckily it turned out to be a better thing. So that's good stuff. All right, hey, let's let you know about other good news. The other good news is the numbers continue to go down. On our COVID-19 update, 32,000 people were tested yesterday, and it was 93 people that tested positive, and 16 people tested positive all of Worcester County. We're down from 24 to 20. The hospitalization rate? No, are you serious? We're down to 6? 6. So the new number right now for Leominster is we are down to 6. That is awesome. That is great. Good news. And remember, everything is open now. I mean, except for the State House. Everything else is open, right? But they're thinking about opening the State House. I don't know. What's that? I don't know. But they're giving tours outside if you want to get a tour somewhere. They have an outside tour. You get outside tour. What's outside? As soon as you take there is that nice. They have a nice firefighter memorial inside. It's really nice. That is nice. And out front, there's a couple historic, pieces. But if you go out back, it's like underground parking. And there's nothing on the side because it's attached to the Parkman House in Boston. So I don't know what they're going to show people. But, hey, if you're packing up the Winnebago and heading out from North Adams, good luck. You'll get a outside tour of the State House. So I don't know, but it's time to open, folks. It's time to open the People's Building. We've been open for about a year. Yeah, we were open, then they forced us to close. Well, they forced us to close. No, first we closed, then we went to, you could only have 50%. So half the people had to work out, and then they said, now we have to close because the numbers went up all over the state. So the emergency order was you have to close, so we did. And the second they said, yeah, you can open, we open. So if we can open, you can open. Sounds like a song, right? I can dig it, you can dig it, right? You can open, I can open, right? Yeah. And anyway, through hospitals across the state, 110 people are in hospital beds, 33 are intensive care, 1 new death yesterday. Let's hope for that day when we see none. Vaccination rate, do we have the numbers yet? Oh, you've got slides set up here. Hang on, I got to reach over. 5 o'clock? So just as we're getting off. Sorry, everybody. I forgot my glasses. Let's see. I swear, people know that I'm doing this, and they still, I need you to call me. I know that, but it's Thursday, and we do a show from 4 to 5 o'clock live every Thursday. So if you look, that younger age, 12 to 15, just started. But if you look beyond that, like the 30 to, they just opened up that 12 to 29. If you look to 30 and above, you're talking 86, 92, 84. % of the city's been at least 1 dosage, which pretty much now is like 2 doses. That's more than that time. So that's pretty amazing. So good job, Leominster. Good job. Next slide shows the Spanish American Center. They're doing vaccines on Wednesdays. So the first and third Wednesdays of each month, they do it at 9 in the morning, and then on the second and fourth Wednesdays, they do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a walk-in. Yes, you could call. They don't mind you calling them, and but if you don't, you can walk in, and then no questions asked, and they get you your shot. Hey, projects. In Northwest County, we have turned into Project USA, yes. The nice part about our projects, Mr. Carl, is they are not interfering with each other. So lots of planning, pre-planning, gets you to the point where you can have projects within a quarter of a mile of each other, and some touching, and still make it all work. So the skate park, going very well, Wendy. $248,000 grant coming from the state. That's a real collaborative, not my favorite word, but it is a real buy-in from all parties, and they're all working together. And we've got the day we went down there to do the announcements and some, gifts and checks, it had to be 80, 90 people down there that day. That's the biggest group we've ever had show up to a public, it was kind of like a public hearing process that night. And then MassWorks grant isn't very interesting, but it is. It's $2.4 million because it's infrastructure that the city doesn't have to pay for, that we get a grant from the state. And that's underway, and you might not see it, but you see some equipment set up in the cemetery, doing bypass on our sewer projects. But at the end of the day, we'll see repaved roads down there, some more sidewalks, Wendy. Right, down as part of the $2.4 million. Finishing the fence. Yeah, we've done that fence, and we couldn't afford to do it. It just was unaffordable to do it, and Gagny and Associates helped us to pay the initial phases of it. We kind of split it, and they actually made some of the biggest donations down there to pay for that, and it looks so nice down there. And we want to finish that up and bring it all the way to 13. Now, we have a FEMA grant for the connector, and you say, well, what is that $648,000 for? Well, through erosion and climate change, we get these big storms, and they keep cutting into the bankings of the Nashua. which is getting closer to the roadway. And so that $648,000 is going to help us to stabilize those bankings, and that's a good thing. Route 13, I'll tell you, there's one road that was probably 40 feet wide. It's like 80 feet wide now by the state police barracks. So slowly, every day they're methodical down there. It's like every day they do work, and you come in the morning and you come back and you're like, wow, they just built a wall. So they have a number of takings in the area that state is doing, properties to be able to expand the road, putting new traffic signals in. Those traffic signals be a closed loop system so they tie into each other, so they work with each other. So you don't get a red light and then a green at the next one. They'll be able to move people more safely through those intersections. There'll be new sets of lights at the Armory, National Guard, where the old Sunoco station was. So no more of this kamikaze just pull out into the street because you can't sit there any longer. So that's going well. And Route 12 and Amarillo Construction's done a great job down here. So they're working at night now. So there's some delay down there and detours on 13. But during the daytime, I went through twice today, doing a great job. Route 12 South, that's a $14 million project scheduled for next year. That's down by El Camino, so they'll start Marguerite Ave and go all the way into Sterling. And some widening, new intersections, new lights, and sidewalks all the way on both sides all the way to. And they'll do the bridge over where El Camino is in Fallbrook. So that's exciting. And then Route 12 near the hospital, that is because of the nature of the scope of that work, everything must be calculated because we've got the rail trail project going on like right next to it. So that all has to be managed properly, and that's going well. Rail trail just waiting for those center pieces of the bridge. They got the two ends in if you haven't seen them. Do you have any pictures today? Yeah. I'll show you that later. Anyway, that's between the hospital, Doyle Field area up to Hamilton Street. And that's going on. That's going to be re-landscaped. They're going to move those. No more will you be in the same lane coming out of CVS as you are coming out of Water Tower Plaza thinking, I'm going to get in a head-on collision here. Right? I mean, this is just bizarre. Anyway, we're going to fix all that up. Those improvements will happen, and then safe routes to school, reconstructing Viscoid Ave, where a lot of people, children including, people walk to the pool, to the playgrounds. $2.2 million state grant. That's up from $1 million. That'll go out to bid later this year, and construction starting next year. And then in front of the woodblock, that really came out nice in front of that hole to fix. Got kids out there playing today in the water, and the vegetation, and just everything coming along. So thank you. That was a successful project. And then $167,000 grant that we have to design the Barrett Park Dam, right? All right, and the athletic fields, want to thank the City Council. Passing the budget the other night, $137,685,000, somewhere around there, off the top of my head. But budget was $137 million, and thank you to the City Council for passing it. And also a number of other appropriations, including the athletic fields. We are like the only high school that don't have our athletic fields attached to us. And we need the extra fields, not just for that, but the fact that we're so busy at Doyle that we need other fields to compensate for that. So they've done the major site design, grading, stormwater, sewer, water design, electrical engineer sent back for full input, waiting for final plan from the landscape architect, and then preparing to go to local boards and commissions for permitting. So all of that is moving along. We submitted to the City Council 2 weeks ago a plan to fund that, which doesn't raise your taxes, and that was approved by the City Council as well. So lots of things going on. What else do we have, Wendy? Public library is fully open. Now, this is going to be fun if you want to go to the So National Night Out was really started as a program around the country where they're trying to get people out of their homes to know that their neighborhoods are safe and just come out and celebrate, where you live. So we've added to that. And on August 3rd at 5 o'clock, we realized that we are different than a lot of other communities, that we embrace, that we don't see the differences. We know that we're all different in every single way. We are different, and our likes and dislikes are different, and we get that. But we realize that we are the symbol of the melting pot, exactly how it was planned for this country. And we are a symbol or poster child for accepting and welcoming. And so we're going to celebrate that diversity, whether it's religious diversity, ethnic diversity, whatever it is. And we're going to celebrate that with a parade. And we're all in the parade, Kyle. We're all in the parade. And you can bring your flags and your posters and your signs and everything else that you want. come on down because we're leaving. We're going to gather behind Walgreens, and we're going to march from downtown Walgreens over to the park downtown. We're going to block the streets off, and we are going to have a party. And we've got the Leominster Police Department, the Fire Department, Emergency Management, Public Works, resource tables, public safety displays, and more. We're doing this in collaboration with Luck. And I think by the time we reach August 3rd, this thing is going to have grown. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'd love to have bands and different ethnic bands and groups. And it's really a chance. You know, I hear and read and see so much. There's not a day that I don't talk to somebody about something that's going on somewhere else. And I think to myself, how lucky. Now, Carl, your father worked at DuPont's.
Yeah.
Tucker's. Who worked at DuPont? Your uncle?
Uncle
Emil. And now we're talking 40 years ago, at least, 50 years ago, and yet Latinos, the French, the Irish, the Italians, later on other ethnic groups, Brazilians, and everybody worked as part of the team, get the job done, right? That's always been the way. We go to school. Everyone goes to school. No matter what school you went to, it was always diverse. Look at schools now. They become even more diverse. That's something to celebrate, right? And we all have our personal things, whether you're Italian or Latino or you're Portuguese and whatever. We all have our foods, which, by the way, lots of the desserts are very similar. And I like them all. So we're going to celebrate that. So come out, get ready, start planning. Churches, nonprofits, your little group, your neighborhood, whatever it is, come on down. You can decorate. You know. So we're going to have an all-out great night, and that's August 3rd, so set that aside on your calendar. What else do we have, Wendy? Farmers Market coming up. This first Saturday of every month, which means the 3rd. And right downtown in the Common, Monument Square, 11 to 2 o'clock, so come on down. I'm hoping to have like fresh strawberries, raspberries. Apparently at Shoreland Farms, there's a call out right now for volunteers to help pick raspberries. You know, just an inside thing. Seth Fermani used to pick the blueberries for me and the raspberries and bring them down to me. And I know, I truly will miss Seth. I've known Seth my whole life, and a huge mentor to me, Seth. A influence, and he will be missed. Not seeing him behind the counter down there, you know, wiping down, polishing apples, and making jokes and harassing me. He will be, imagine him and Emil. Emil was how old? Emil Brousseau was how old? 97. He was up at Shoreland Farms. He built those, what do you call them, the hay wagons. And he built them from scratch. I don't mean he just put a few pieces of wood. But my favorite picture upstairs is a picture of him and Louis Charpentier. Both of them. It was a cold day up in Shoreland Farms. They were both there reminiscing, and they were both helping out while they were there. And I said to him, I hate to interrupt you, but I got to get a picture of you guys. This is precious. And we took a great picture of them, and they were very kind. And so anyway, coming up July 3rd. Can you believe it's July 1st, let alone July 3rd? Yikes. All right. Anyway, tonight's concert is canceled over there at Carter Park. Do you have a slide on that, Miss Wendy? But here are some of the other bands. I'm not sure when they'll slide them in, maybe next week. I'm not sure, but Sonny has a plan, I'm sure. But anyway, the Full Monty will be out there on the 22nd. And so they have concerts on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock over there, 7 to 9 over at Carter Park. And always a good night. Okay, what else do we have? Pictures of the week. This is always a surprise to me. Oh, the Firefighter Memorial, that was great on a Sunday in June, and it was just a perfect day. Weather was fabulous, and it's very, I like the ceremony. It's to remember all the firefighters that have gone. And they read each of the firefighters' names from the first to the most recent, and then they add this year 4 names to the list of those that passed. But it's something saying that your city and your brothers and sisters in the fire department will not forget you, and that you'll always be remembered. And so this is a great event. And so we were blessed to have the Bagpipers with us this year, and this was their first public performance. So thank you to them. Pink Flamingo Day. Who could have thought? So many people. They showed up, started at 5, they showed up at 4:30, and what a great time. And, that's when it hit us, Carl, that there were people that we saw that we haven't seen in a year and a half. And we were like, geez, forget, the fact that you could see them without masks. These are people we haven't seen in so long. That typically would, you'd see either at City Hall or different events. So we had lots of fun. Then we had a fashion show at the end and gave a trophy to the person that was the most creative and enthusiastic and best personally decorated. And there were a couple good ones there. Did you see Wendy had her outfit on, handmade? It was hard. I was going to pick the winner. They said, oh, you picked the winner. As soon as I saw this, I said, I'm going to leave this to the people. So we did the old clapping. You clap for the one that you think is the best, the people's choice. I said, I'm out of here. This is too difficult. I'll be here all night. Anyway, thank you for everybody. And we had, there's a TikTok video that WBZ did. It's up to like 4,000 something people have clicked on it. It made it big. And it's funny because you know sometimes when you hit the, that nerve. Do you have a picture of the family here on that? I have I'll give it to you for next week. But when you hit a nerve when you don't have to ask anybody like, hey, what did you think of the Pink Flamingo Fest? When you don't have to solicit them. They reach out to you, and so friends from Boston all over the place were like, hey, I saw that was pretty cool. And there's a couple of sites, if you're interested, there are a couple of sites on Facebook that you can join, and there's some people from Leominster, I'm on them, and one of them is Flamingoholics. And it's got, I don't know, 18, 20,000 people on it. And so we did, we showed some live footage on that and got a good response from that. So it was we had a fun night. It was like the perfect weather. Next slide, please. Oh, we went down Head Start, and I got to read a story that I like to read because it's very animated and engaging, so the kids get to participate. And it's about dragons and tacos, and it's called Dragons Like Tacos. But I can't tell you the whole story, Carl. I'll read it here some night. Let's get the book and I'll read it next week. How's that? Right? And next week we'll do our survey, Carl. We'll do that survey that if we make it. What do you mean? You don't think we're going to be on by next week? Carl!
I gotta find a $20,000 piece of
20,000? That's it. Everybody send in some money. Rip open the change jars. Carl needs 20K. Anyway, so whatever happens, maybe we'll just take the show out into the road or whatever might happen. But anyway, we'll show some pictures. But so there we were at Head Start. They had graduation ceremonies. These kids are so precious, so precious. And thank you for Head Start for asking me to come down, giving out the diplomas and reading Dragons Like Love Tacos. Inspire, it's a new business downtown. It's a support and counseling center. And what a great group. From the day they walked in and said this is, they wanted to move in, they have been engaged in the community, involved, and we were there with the Chamber of Commerce members, and they flew out their whole team. Now, they're in different states, and they brought out their whole team for this event. It was pretty impressive, and every single one of those employees that work there are just, it's quite an experience. You think you know every one of them, and they're from everywhere. And a young lady was from Tennessee, and some people flew out from Florida. And we're disappointed because I think they thought it was going to be cool here. They came from Florida and found out it's just as hot here and humid. Next slide, please. And there we are. Aging Services of North Central Massachusetts got their rebranding. Before they were Montechusett Home Care. Huh? What'd you do, jump? Yeah. You jumped the slide? And now they're ASNCM, which they provide such great services, and we're going to have them on. There's Father Monsignor Doran on the right there, who we, from St. Leo's, came back to help out. He's on the board. And there we are. We had all these people, Carl, coming in to auction off city properties. During the recession, we couldn't have got $100,000 if anybody bid on these things. $100,000 for all the properties. Carl, guess what? We got over $900,000 for these properties. So we had an okay day, as they say, in the real estate world in one day. So we were happy about that. And there we are, wrapping up the open space plan. I know a lot of people have put a lot of time and energy into this plan, Wendy, and this really sets us up. So we do this open space plan, it's really something that's good for the city to look, and it engages, right? It looks for public participation. But at the end of the day, it gets us ready for all of those grants, because we want to be focused. We want to be able to, like, if money becomes available on something as a grant, we want to be able to say, well, look at our open space plan. This is what it addresses, right? This is, yeah. Well, they won't give you any money. But it's also good exercise so that, you know, anyone can look at the plan, look down the road and say, well, this is our next step. So this is the wrapping up of the next open space plan, and so good stuff. Swearing in for our new comptroller. She was hired a couple of weeks ago. She started on Monday. We're very excited. She's you know, the one thing is when John Richard passed away, this is somebody he worked with for 10 years. She was our auditor, the company that came in and audited us. She knows Leominster very well, and Jen Reddington is our new comptroller. She's a CPA. She's very qualified. I'm sure John would be thrilled to know that his position was filled by her, and she's quite capable, and talk about hitting the ground running. I mean, there was no learning curve here for her. She knows the city, and she was the auditor, and Leominster is in good hands with Jen Reddington. And then we raised the pride flag. We had a pretty good crowd that day, and you know, a few speeches here and there and some things that were told. Thank you to Leominster Police Department that came by, and you know, we raised the flag. This is the second year in a row that we raised that progressive pride flag. I think it's a little different than the older version of the pride flag, but there it is. It goes up and stays up for the month of June. Monument Park is complete. Few little things left, but you know, put a timer on the water park and some other things so that when kids are there, they can hit the button and then the water comes up. But for the most part, it really is nice. And I see families out there in the water park. People that go to eat at the Fix or other restaurants come down. I see them sitting on the benches, and it's a beautiful place. And we'll have some musicians play there, Kyle. You know what we're looking for, Kyle? Do they make a waterproof piano? A waterproof piano? Well, it's either that or we get a cover on it, but we want to put it on wheels and kind of roll it to different parts of the city. And, you know, that urge, you know, if I knew how to play piano, I'd rip the cover off and start getting down with it, right? Do you know how to, you play the piano, Kyle? Or would you, if you saw one downtown, would you be tempted to play? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. 2 minutes left. Route 12 work to begin. It's a $14 million project. There's the rail trail. Making progress. So that's one end of it. You want to show us the other end? There it is. So they're going to bring in the connecting piece very soon, and connect it, put the bolts in it, and we've got a full completed, well, almost completed, but enough to get started on the rail trail. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. And there's our portion of the Leominster Rail Trail. Going to be fun and safe. Viscoid Ave, drain work and preparation. Remember, before the big projects start, you got to do the infrastructure first. And that's where a lot of our time and money is spent, but it's not always kind of visible. But at night, they're working on Route 12, and then during the day here, they're working on Viscoid Ave for the drainage project. And Washington Street work continues with replacement infrastructure there. And then when we're done, we'll be doing paving over again. Stearns Ave waterline work again. We'll tear up those streets, but we'll be back to fix them after everything settles. And there's my buddy, Fernando, and he's my inspiration. He's from the Hull Group, and he works at the mall, and we want to thank him for all the help, helping us to set up those vaccine sites down there. That guy is a hard worker. He's amazing. He's always happy. The day I see him, he's like got the trash barrels pulled apart. He's scrubbing them all down. That man, he's on the roof sometimes. He's got a ball of chain of keys that's twice the size of my head, and I got a big head. And Fernando is just my inspiration. So thank you, Fernando, for all the help. If you see him down at the mall, say, Fernando, thank you for all the help. You give not only the city, but you know, Hull Group and everybody at the mall. And there we are, Kids First. And this is a group of dads, in this particular case, a group of dads with support from their wives and kids and friends who have decided to run for school committee. And any candidate that wants, you know, that's running for office, let us know. We'll have you on. You can talk about why you're running for office, et cetera. And, but their main campaign and their main focus is Kids First. And I'll tell you, I walked in and I thought, wow, I haven't seen this in a long time. You could feel the vibe in the room. It was exciting. They had something going on and planned for the kids. Speeches were short. It was really about, hey, listen, I've experienced what's happened here in the last year, year and a half, and it's been tough. And it's time for some new people on the school committee. And all right, any more pictures? Oh, it's Wendy's birthday. There's no words. You can't imagine what her office looked like. It was a day of celebration for Wendy. She hit the big 5-0, the big Hawaii 5-0. Anyway, happy birthday to Wendy. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Carl and Keith, for setting this all up. We're out of time here at Inside Leominster. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You need to show up. Good night.
Inside